Hello and welcome to Quick Start to Managed IT Services. My name is Terry Hedden. I spent a dozen years building one of the largest MSPs in the world, and now I help grow other people's MSPs. So I'm really excited about today's session because Managed IT Services is near and dear to my heart, and I look forward to sharing with you how you can get going in managed services and have it be a really successful and profitable business venture. Before we get started, make sure you understand CompTIA is here to help you. It's a nonprofit designed to help the industry, the technology industry, grow and succeed. Represents the industry in Washington, D.C. It provides certifications for probably hundreds of thousands of people worldwide and has a lot of education out there, one of which being the session you're here today. There's a lot more out there. If you go to comptia.org, there's a free membership that gives you access to a lot of information, and their paid membership is darn close to free and gives you even more information. So today we're going to really talk about managed IT services, help understand the opportunity for you and for others that are interested in learning more about it, how you can build a dynamic offering or a portfolio of services, how you can create a successful marketing plan and an effective sales program. Marketing obviously generates leads, sales closes leads. We're going to talk about how you can convert prospects into valued clients and maintain a highly valued MSP business to your customers. First step is to evaluate the real opportunity out there. First of all, understand that managed services has been around for a little while, right? Arguably started in the mid 2000s, maybe like 2003, 2005. It really came to market and created quite a stir because it really upended the VAR business, right? Where margins were shrinking and service revenue associated with hardware and software were never something that you could truly count on because by nature they're variable. When things broke, you fixed them. When there was a project, you made money, and if there wasn't anything going on, well, you didn't make much money. So managed services has existed for a while. There's some competition out there, but every market is unique, right? So before you embark on your new managed service provider, understand that you have to really understand the local market, right? What are the opportunity out there? Is there a lot of business out there for your MSP? Based on your skill set, if you know a particular market or a particular technology, particular industry or company size, right? What is out there in your local community? And then what kind of competition is going after it? Can you compete with them? Are there people who have economies of scale you don't have? Is there a lot of competition or is it really light? Just because you're in a small market does not mean it's worse than a big market. In fact, a lot of small markets provide very profitable MSPs because there's not that much competition. Second question is to really know your value proposition, right? What makes you unique? Do you have particular knowledge of an industry vertical, maybe a software, like a line of business software? Do you have a value proposition that would give you a competitive advantage in the market? What do your current skills look like? Do you have skills that maybe many people don't have? Do you have relationships that many people don't have? If you look at your engineers and your skilled technicians out there, what skills do they have? You know, how can you kind of differentiate yourself in a crowded market? What skills do you have? Because those skills are going to help you go after particular market opportunities with the opportunity to win more than your fair share. Then at that point, you start defining your market, right? What's your geographical territory? Many people start off with, say, 40 miles from your office in every direction, but some big cities maybe just do 1 mile from your office, or some rural areas, they may do hundreds or even states, entire states in your territory. And then do you have a vertical specialization? There's pros and cons to specialize in an industry vertical, and you can make the decision for yourself whether or not it makes sense for you. Verticals obviously will limit your target market to those in that industry vertical, which by definition is a tiny fraction of the overall market. But the positive is that you face less competition because you're perceived as different because you are vertical specialized. So though you may the size of the pie may be smaller, your percentage of the pie might be larger because you do focus on that and therefore create a more compelling value proposition to those in it. You can also charge a higher price because people will pay for that specialization. And then finally, let's define that perfect customer, right? Anyone could theoretically be a customer, and I think most of us would adapt to whatever customers came our way, but we have to really be smart as a small business. You can't afford to go after everybody. So you want to go after the people you're most likely to win, right? How big are they? Are they a small business, medium, or enterprise? What does their existing infrastructure look like? Are they maybe all Mac, or do they have EMC storage, or are they all PCs or servers? Are they cloud or not, right? What does their existing infrastructure look like? And where can we best compete? And then finally, that vertical specialization. Are they within your target spot or sweet spots? Because you may have 5 or 10 different verticals that you specialize in and not just one. So at that point, we've defined our market and the perfect customer that we're going to go after. So if you're trying to kind of go into a little bit more detail there, you want to really make sure that you've got enough of a market to make it worthwhile, right? So in this particular instance, there's 172 lawyers, 344 doctors, and 75 dentist offices, a total of 591 businesses in this fictitious central Ohio area. Survey results said that 10% are thrilled with their IT service firm, which is pretty common. 62% are satisfied, and the rest are looking for a new provider, which puts you around 25%, right? That suggests roughly 120 business opportunities in the local area. So if your average MSP bills at $12.50 per month, which is pretty accurate, and you're able to capture 5% market share, you should add roughly 6 customers per month or 72 customers annually. The market opportunity is roughly 90 grand per month after the first year. Now, those are pretty aggressive numbers, right? Getting 6 new customers a month is a lot. You're going to have a strong marketing program and a great salesperson to close that business. But going through this exercise will help you illustrate the market opportunity in your market and see if it might be worthwhile to you. At the end of the day, it's a cost benefit, right? Are you willing to invest what it takes to get the customers that you need to achieve your goals? So now that you kind of understand the market opportunity, you've defined it, you've got your go-to-market strategy, let's build out our portfolio or our offering, right? What services and products are we going to represent in the market? Step 2, number 1, now that we've defined our prospects from the previous exercise, let's talk about what makes them tick. What's their pain points? Their drivers for your business decision, what are their business needs, right? Once you have that information, you can go out there and select the tools to do the job. A PSA is a professional services automation system. The most common ones are ConnectWise, Autotask, and TigerPaw. But there are a lot of smaller PSA tools out there that provide great capabilities, although those 3 certainly command the lion's share of the market. Chart of accounts would be more of like your accounting system. Most people use QuickBooks, or but there are a lot of people who use NetApp or Peachtree, or there's a lot of different opportunities out there for accounting. But again, a lot of people pick QuickBooks. And then the next step is your remote monitoring or management. RMM, right? That gives you the ability to remotely monitor your customers' networks and remotely manage them or support them. So you're able to dial into their computer and support it from afar. And there are a lot of vendors out there for that. Some examples might be ConnectWise Automate. You have Datto has an RMM. You have Kaseya is a good one. There's a lot of really great RMM tools out there. What you want to do with both your PSA and your RMM is to evaluate those out there, right? Go to a conference to learn more about them maybe, and then do demonstrations. Find the one that fits your business the best, that looks like something that you'd work well with, and don't be afraid to spend a few extra dollars for one that's more evolved as a tool, because you will find very quickly that a lot of money in the MSP industry is made by having great systems. In other words, you have very low overhead for your finance department because your systems are well integrated and they're able to work and help each other, right? There's also other vendor solutions out there beyond the PSA and RMM. You may have antivirus, backup disaster recovery, dark web, cloud products and services. There are a lot of services out there that you're going to kind of build this portfolio around. And you may do that by going to a conference. There's some great conferences out there, including ChannelCon by CompTIA. There's IT Nation, there's DattoCon, there's IT Glue. There's a lot of really good conferences that if you go to those, you can learn more about the person who's putting it on. But more importantly, there's a lot of vendors there that give you the opportunity to efficiently get educated, right? Learn what different technologies and tools are out there that might help you make the decision about what solutions are best for you, right? Tools are a big part of managed services. Not only do MSP business owners tend to enjoy working with technology, but also that's what they're going to effectively resell. So they're going to need to build out a capability, a suite of services that give them everything that their prospects need to secure themselves. Next up, you got to have great contract templates. Do not fall for the trap of handshake agreements, even if it's your best friend or your parent. You want to protect those personal relationships with ironclad contracts to make sure there's no ambiguity, because that's how hurt feelings happen. Conversely, if maybe they don't end up being a friend at the end of the day, those contracts are what you're going to fall back on to ensure that your interests are protected and that your liabilities are limited, right? You don't want to get into a situation where you have unlimited liability because you relied on a handshake, saved a few bucks on a contract. So have great contract templates. They would include your SLAs, they would include the services that are included, they would include the services that aren't included, it would include limitations of liability and transfer. What happens if you sell your business, right? What the clause, the ability for you to sell the book of business to someone else. You want to implement service level agreements and master service agreements, sort of the next step of the contract template. Some people bundle all of them together, but you want to make sure you clearly define what you're promising, right? What are you kind of owning up to? Are you promising a 4-hour SLA in terms of responsiveness? Are you, what's included in the agreement and what's not? Next step is your help desk offering and the operational procedures. Are you one of the many people who choose to outsource help desk these days, right? There's some really great service providers out there that give you the ability to lean on their help desk and knock so that you don't have to build out your own. Some studies show that number is as much as 50% of all companies use third-party help desk now. So there's a lot of money to be made, and don't think that there's one right or wrong answer. Everyone's unique. Some people would rather build internally, others would rather lean on a third party and then take only the on-site work to do themselves. You want to make sure your processes are well baked as well, right? Your onboarding should be baked, where you have the ability to methodically bring on a net new client on a regular basis without having it drastically impact your ability to service your existing customers. So you want to kind of bake that, right? What's the process that we're going to teach them how to log tickets? What's the process that we're going to install the RMM tool? What's the process by which we're going to do the documentation? Are we going to use IT Glue or one of the other documentation tools? Or are we going to do it in Microsoft Word, for example? And then finally, create a list of KPIs or key performance indicators that's going to help you determine the profitability or operational effectiveness of your organization. What are the numbers that you're going to pay attention to, right? KPIs are huge for business owners. What Peter Drucker is a famous business strategist and teacher that once said, what is measured improves. So if you think about a KPI being contract profitability or company profitability, if you pay attention to KPIs, they tend to improve over time. So you want to make sure you keep a list of those. The next most important thing, now that you've got the tools, you got your target market, you got the tools you need, and you got your contracts and all that, is to go get prospects. This is a step that most MSPs and VARs really, really struggle with, right? They don't understand the difference between sales and marketing, right? Sales closes leads. Marketing finds leads. They're completely different skill sets. They're completely different personality types in both departments. And frankly, they're different job functions, right? Asking a marketing person to sell is just as ridiculous as asking a salesperson to market. So don't fall into the trap that so many MSPs do, where they hire a salesperson to increase sales when what they really need are more leads. So we want to make sure that we create a successful marketing plan that will put a good brand out there for your MSP, but also, frankly, create a flow of leads to give to your sales team. A lot of MSPs start with a business owner as the salesperson, and that's perfectly fine. Marketing is both a key to success and something that the IT channel does poorly overall. Make sure you have a plan that draws attention to your business and builds your sales funnel. There are key tactics that you need to keep in mind. Number one is create a recognizable brand. It takes an effort. It takes an artist. It takes something with vision to build a concise and differentiating logo, tagline, and message. Make sure you you kind of invest time in this. There's a lot of importance to a brand, right? A lot of people kind of get lazy and just maybe use their name, maybe like John Doe Services Inc. or John Doe Managed Services or John Doe's Technologies. And the reality is, while that's easy, you can do a lot of, you're saying something by not saying anything, right? If you sound small, you're perceived as small, and that's going to affect your ability to close deals. Next step is to build a prospect list. You can buy lists from reputable vendors. You can do internet searches, and then you want to basically identify the perfect customers for your business based on the information that we worked on previously. Once you have that information, then you can start marketing to them and assigning salespeople to each new prospect. The next step is to attend local events. Creating a local presence is absolutely crucial to your success. That means you get out to local events and meet people. You can sponsor or attend events and pool resources with complementary organizations, right? If there are third-party companies that maybe copy equipment dealers or telephony companies or phone system vendors that maybe aren't in your wheelhouse in terms of a product service, perhaps you can find people who don't offer IT support and you can buddy up with them. If you have MDF through your vendors or market development funds, you can go after them and dedicate time to finding that. There's a lot of free money out there, and most vendors have gone to a system by which the people who get it are the ones that ask for it rather than an entitlement mentality. Once you have that, you have money, you have your target market, you start developing your marketing campaigns, right? Multi-touch marketing campaigns is where money is going right now because that's what's working. You want to make sure that you build multi-touch programs that leverage digital marketing and traditional marketing techniques and outbound appointment setting, all working in concert to generate leads for your business. This is something you could build internally by hiring a designer, a content writer, a marketing strategist, and an outbound appointment setter, or you can partner with the many third parties out there that do marketing campaigns for you. So you can literally sign a contract and have it done for you. They're going to leverage content marketing to improve your search engine rankings and use social media to kind of generate that brand awareness. But follow their advice. Marketing is a science, frankly, and a lot of MSPs and VARs are sort of penny wise and pound foolish when it comes to marketing. They try to be as stingy as they can with their investment dollar, and that ends up yielding fewer appointments, which of course turns into fewer sales. And then finally, create and measure your target lead flow. Make sure that you're getting the number of leads that you mathematically need to achieve the sales you want. So for example, if you want to add, let's say $100,000 in managed services revenue in a given year, and that equates to roughly, $9,000 a month, let's say. Okay, that's your net new deal, and you're averaging $3,000 RMR per month or per client. That means you need to get 3 new clients a month. If you have a 10% close ratio, that means you need 30 leads per month, or approximately, 8 leads per week. Right? Until you're getting 8 leads per week, then your sales goals and your business goals are nothing but fantasies. Mathematically speaking, you're not setting yourself up to succeed. So it's important that you kind of create that target lead flow and communicate that to your marketing partner or department, and then hold them accountable for achieving those goals. And if they aren't achieving those goals, understand there might be 2 reasons. 1, there might need to be more done to achieve that goal, or 2, they're not as good as maybe you thought they were. It really depends on the situation. Obviously, there's no way for me to tell you that answer. You have to, do your own due diligence and research to find out who the most reputable marketing firms are. I can tell you that the most successful marketing firms in the managed services industry are those that know the managed services industry, right? Marketing Clorox bleach to consumers and marketing managed IT services to businesses are 2 extremely different things. So don't assume that all marketers are the same, or that all marketing firms are the same, or the same, all marketing can be done the same way. It's unique in business to business sales, and it's unique in technology. So you combine those together, and I can tell you that most of the successful marketing campaigns have been built by people who have experience building marketing campaigns. So it's extremely important for you to create that program and have the discipline to stick with it. Stick with your partner. Measure results in months or weeks, in months or years, not weeks or months. You want to make sure you're giving them time to do. Don't commit to any marketing program that you can't commit to for a full year. All right. If you had to think about your brand, how could you simplify that down to one single word, right? It describes who you are and what you do. What would that word be? It's easier said than done, but I can tell you that going through the effort of kind of synthesizing your company's value down to one words can be a very powerful thing. You can use that in your marketing effort, your sales pitch, your tagline. There's a lot of different things that you can use to to improve your message and make it resonate even more. Don't fall into the trap of having it just be service focused, right? A lot of MSPs think that the differentiation for them is that they're better at service than other people. Keep in mind that you can't prove that you're good at service until after you get a sale. So it's not a very compelling marketing message to say we're great at service. What you can say is that you give your you take care of IT so your customers can focus on growing their business. We give peace of mind, maybe, or results or uptime, or there's a lot of single words that you can kind of come up with to kind of single out your message and kind of refine and fine tune your go-to-market. So as you build out your marketing plan, understand that you've delivered the number of leads that you mathematically need to achieve your goal. So in that previous example, I believe the number was 8. We needed to get approximately 8 leads per month to achieve our goal. Then, and only then, can you hold sales accountable for achieving sales quota, right? Don't fall into the trap of not giving the sales team the leads that they need to succeed and yet still expect them to hit sales objectives. You have to give the right input to expect the right output, right? That's how it works. And don't fall into the trap of expecting salespeople to generate their own leads. It just doesn't work that way. Marketing people are different. Marketing techniques are different. Salespeople, frankly, don't tend to be very good at marketing or appointment setting or social media, even for that matter. So once you've got the number of leads that you need to achieve your goal, the next step 4, is to build a highly effective sales program. Now, keep in mind that sales programs that are effective are those that close business, right? Their goal is to maintain the close ratio that you've predicted. A great sales organization may have a close ratio anywhere from 25 to 50% close ratio. So as long as your marketing program is built to give you the number of leads that you mathematically need to achieve goal, then all of a sudden you can put the onus on the sales team to deliver on that goal, right? So as long as you're expecting them to have that close ratio anywhere from 25 to 50, you have a reasonable expectation and they go out there and get it. Now, keep in mind that a lot of MSPs think, oh, my sales close ratio is much higher than 25 to 50. And the reason is it's most likely dependent on word of mouth leads. Word of mouth is not marketing. Word of mouth has nothing to do with marketing. The only similarity between word of mouth and marketing is that it generates a qualified appointment, right? Marketing is the going out and finding people and helping people that are looking for you find you that might be good prospects. Word of mouth is more of a referral, right? It's one of your customers or family or friends referring you into a customer. Your close ratio should be much, much, much higher, up to and including 100% close ratio for a word of mouth referral, whereas on average, marketing programs just can't get to that number. If your close ratio is too high, that's probably because you're not charging enough. And if it's too low, that either means that you're charging too much or you're not generating the right kind of lead, or you have a salesperson that needs more training, or frankly, you need a new salesperson. Managed services requires a very unique salesperson, okay? It's not transactional in nature. It's not buying a piece of equipment or a car. It's not a one and done kind of thing. Therefore, the person needs to have a deeper relationship with the prospect to win the deal, right? Therefore, they have to have more of a consultative sales process. They need to have a high touch sales training and sales process to nurture and develop prospects and retain customers. They should build out a program to generate referrals from referral partners, right? That's important to talk to customers and third-party complementary service providers that can generate more leads for you. The focus should be on finding opportunities that you would consider a good fit. We talked about that target market before, and this is kind of where that comes to play. If you're really, really good at selling medical and someone gives you a lead for legal, well, that might be completely out of your wheelhouse. You may not have the marketing collateral knowledge of the software in the law firm. You may not understand the industry enough to even win that opportunity. So to have any chance, you're gonna have to do some research, right? You're gonna have to do preparation. You have to learn more about the individual you're meeting with. You have to learn more about the business you're talking to and the industry that they're in, right? You've got to become a more well-rounded and more knowledgeable salesperson to have a chance. But at the beginning, you may want to focus on opportunities that are a little easier to close, right? And so instead of trying to become a master of every industry, maybe focus on 1 or 2 or 4 industries that give you the best chance of winning, because nothing helps fund growth like sales. Next thing is to focus on timely proposals, right? You need to have a professional proposal that makes you look better or as good as you really are. You need to be able to generate it quickly, and you need to be able to present it very professionally, right? Never email a proposal or do some other amateur hour sales tactic. You want to present proposals. Remember, managed services tends to be a 1, 3, or a 5-year contract. At $2,000 a month, 5 years is a $120,000 deal. Your proposal should look and be presented in such a way that it is worthy of a $120,000 opportunity. You then stay connected during the proposal, right? Keep in touch with your prospect. Make sure that every meeting ends with another meeting reserved or a sale, right? You don't want to just let the sales process linger out there. There's a lot of great training out there to teach you how to close a deal in managed services, but understand that don't be afraid to learn. Understand that everyone's got areas for improvement. Most people that are responsible for sales in the IT industry are not natural salespeople. They need to be trained, so don't hesitate to go out there and get it. And then finally, at the end, don't be afraid to ask for the order, right? Ask them for the sale. A lot of people sort of let the customer dictate the flow of the sales process, and that is a mistake. You've got to guide the client toward a successful ending to the process, and you want to manage them through that so that they're progressing naturally toward the only conclusion that you'd want, which is to win the deal, right? Any sale that doesn't close is a waste of money and time, right? 2 very valuable constraints, time being the most valuable of all, because you can create another dollar, you can find another lead, but you can't create another hour. We're going to have questions and answers at the end, so definitely get those ready, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions around hiring salespeople. There's a lot of things to put there. All right, so we'll move on. Where should customers come from? We already talked about the fact that referrals are the easiest to close, right? So you want to make sure that you have an investment in getting those referrals. I like to use a number of about 20%. 20% of your net new customers should come from referrals, right? Do not fall into the trap of allowing that number to approach 100% like so many MSPs do. A lot of MSPs, in fact, 94% of MSPs cite lead generation as the #1 challenge they have in business. And the sad thing is that that's based exclusively on their personal choices. They've personally chosen not to invest in lead generation. They've personally decided to rely on word of mouth referrals to get sales. 65% of your sales should come from existing customers, right? You want to make sure you cross-sell and upsell your customers and retain them over time so that your share of wallet within that customer increases over time, your margins increase over time, and your stickiness increases over time. The more you do for one person, the harder it is for them to leave you. So you want to really make sure that you're continuing to invest in your existing customers. Make sure you employ things like lifecycle management to your equipment so that you refresh it on a regular basis, and really, in general, take care of your customers, that you want your share. You don't want to have to replace those customers on a monthly, quarterly, or even annual basis. And then here you go, 15%, and I'll use that as a conservative number, right? 15% of your new sales should come from net new leads that you generated through marketing. Now, keep in mind that these ratios are to achieve industry norms, industry standards. Most of us have dreams that are in excess of what an industry standard growth rate might be. If that's the case, understand that the net new lead bucket is the easiest one to move. It's hard to get more referrals. It's hard to sell more to your existing customers, but it's not hard to get net new leads, right? You just have to spend money and give it to a marketing firm and let them go get those leads for you. Make sure you're always keeping in front of your customers. Make sure that they're happy with you. Make sure that you're asking open-ended questions to search for more opportunities for them to work with you and for you to add more value at more margin to them. All right, so how do you convert prospects to valued clients? Right? First of all, you want to make sure that a contract converts a client to it, right? You want to make sure that a prospect is naturally converted to it. You want to make sure that a contract has been clearly defined, mutually agreed upon, and then it's really well defined what you're doing and what you're not doing to that, right? Once you've done that, you've presented that, and I really like the idea of presenting proposals via PowerPoint. In terms of concepts, convey those concepts via PowerPoint where they're not tempted to go to the pricing page. And you want to do that in a proposal presentation meeting where you're talking about the findings from your network assessment, from using maybe rapid fire tools or some of the other technologies out there to assess the bugs and issues within a customer's network. And then you present that along with a PowerPoint concept of what it is you're recommending, right? Managed services, and this is how you do it and how you do it better. And then you present the proposal, but don't include the pricing page. You want to make sure that you're getting them to understand the value of what it is you're presenting and the differentiators that make you special before you talk about price. Here's a secret tip. The best proposal is often the one that most clearly addresses the customer's pain points, needs, and goals. I'll say that again. The most compelling proposal is often the one that is presented in such a way that it's perceived as best fitting the customer's needs and goals. A lot of MSPs fall into this trap where they have this spiel, this pitch that they give everybody. Well, unfortunately, when you try to give an industry agnostic, customer agnostic, situation agnostic pitch, it doesn't tend to resonate, right? That's like saying that the best car for everybody would be a Ford F-150. Even if it is theoretically the best car for everybody, it doesn't mean you should present it that way. You should use contextually relevant examples that you've learned throughout the sales process to create a more compelling value proposition, to convey the value in such a way that it resonates with the person you're talking to. So you want to weave in examples that they've given you of their needs and their goals, their pain points, the trials from the past, things they want, things they don't want. Make sure that every time you present your solution, you're presenting it in such a way that is compelling to the person you're talking to. All right, once you've got that signature on a contract, you want to make sure you assign a project leader, ideally the sales engineer that helped you do the network assessment for the prospect. You then perform ongoing assessments of their infrastructure, their QBRs or quarterly business reviews. Some call them an IT update. That some people do it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or quarterly. I really like monthly because I find that once a month, getting in front of your prospects to show the value you're doing and kind of reinforce the services that you're doing. Because one of the challenges with MSPs is that if they do a good job, there's just no IT support tickets, right? The better the job the MSP does, the more they prevent, the less service tickets, the less perceived value. So you want to make sure that you're kind of getting back in front of those customers every month or quarter, worst case scenario, to show what you're doing. And then, of course, you got to get that auto renewal. If you don't want to depend on having to resell the customer each year. So if your geography, if your legal environment there where you live allows it, have an auto renewal contract in your contract, auto renewal clause in your contract. Every time you talk to the customers, you should be the source of inspiration. Bring up new ideas, new technologies, maybe new gadgets, new software, new solutions that address business needs. We want them to perceive you as being the trusted advisor for all things technical, right? So it's important that you proactively bring opportunities to cut costs, to increase value, and to increase service. And then finally, each and every time you work with someone, understand that you're building a cheerleader there, right? You want to collect and leverage those testimonials. You want to lead with that when you're talking to a particular vendor. If you can lead with a very satisfied client that makes them feel like you already know their business, maybe it's someone in the same industry or same building or geographic area, leverage those testimonials to help increase your close ratio and to create a more compelling initial pitch. How do you maintain a highly valued MSP business to your clients? First of all, be a change agent. Don't fall into the trap of maintaining the status quo and thinking that's great. A lot of people these days are really leaning on the cloud and saying they're afraid of it. They don't want to bring it up. They kind of hide and say, oh, my customers love Small Business Server 2003 or whatever premise-based server solution that they've offered, right? You don't be afraid to institute change, right? Technology grows and adapts. It evolves. The right solution depends on the customer more than the technologies that are out there, right? It's a combination of those two things. So don't be afraid to be a change agent. Proactively bring solutions to your customers that help them provide a more secure foundation for their business, help them grow their company, help them leverage technology to increase sales, reduce expenses. Build a plan around quality, a quality of service, right? If you have a happy customer, they're going to be a lot less likely to find a new provider. They're going to be a lot less likely to even take a sales appointment. So the quality of service should be at the core of what it is you're doing. You've got to do a great job. And that includes charging enough to afford to be able to do a great job. Make sure you have plenty of customer touch points. Be in front of that customer on a regular basis. Show them those quarterly business reviews and the monthly IT updates or something similar. Be in front of them so they see that value. Nurture people through marketing efforts, right? Be out there, be in the community, give valuable contents, white papers, case studies, calculators, things like that. Be active in social media. Be a problem solver. When someone's talking about technology needs, don't be afraid to be vocal. Add value, give them answers. And then don't rest on your laurels in your particular market. You never know when a competitor is going to come up. So look for opportunities to expand either geographically, maybe by moving to another market, or vertically by entering other lines of business, right? Other industries, for example. So plan for expansion. If you're not growing, you're shrinking because there's a percentage of all of your customers that are looking for a new solution right now. So you want to make sure that you're always proactive about getting new leads, getting new sales, expanding your services, expanding your geographical reach, adding more value so that you can add more clients. We talked about how it's a lot easier to sell to an existing customer than a net new one. It's a lot easier to find an existing customer. Well, that's because you send them an invoice every month and you go visit them all the time and you have phone calls from them probably on a daily basis. So really focus on increasing your wallet share with your existing customer base. The more hooks, the more services you offer, the more effective hooks you put into that business, the more replacing you is a painful process. Constantly evaluate pricing models. Make sure you're competitive. Make sure you generate cost savings for your customers and find cost savings for yourself, and then focus on retention. Make sure that you're offering a competitive pricing model, not only in price, but also the way it's structured. For instance, a lot of MSPs offer user-based pricing now. It's an alternative to device-based pricing. You got to make sure that you're doing it the right way. One of the best ways to learn in the managed services industry is to join a peer group. There's some great peer groups out there, from CompTIA's MSP community to ConnectWise has a great Evolve peer group. You have Taylor Business Group. You have a lot of different peer groups out there, and it's a great way for you to network with your peers, learn from your peers, and otherwise really, I guess, skip having to learn lessons, learn from your peers, see how you stand, right? Paul Dipple over at Service Leadership does a great job of peering people against each other when it comes to their financial statements to see where you stack up, maybe where you need to cut back. Don't hesitate to leverage vendor credentials to grow. Look for certification opportunities for your vendors, and use that as a way to keep your employees and to keep your employees trained. The last thing you want to do is to have an employee in the technology space with outdated skills. So leveraging credentials to grow is also very important. Now, as you grow your managed services business, right, it all starts with preparation, right? Make sure you understand your value proposition. Make sure you determine your ideal client profile. You then move over to marketing, where you build your prospect list, you conduct or attend local events, you look for vendor marketing funds, and you run marketing campaigns. You then make sales calls, set up appointments, determine if the client's right fit for you while they determine whether you're right fit for them. You discover your discovery meetings or your marketing or your IT assessments. You then present proposals, don't ever send them out. And then you nurture those clients until they come to the point where they sign with you and you win. And if they don't sign with you, understand that every time that happens, that's a temporary thing. That's something that they decided at that moment. But there's a really good chance that you're going to have an opportunity to get back in the door at a later date if you play your cards right. If they do sign, get the contract in, onboard the client, and really continue to drive value in the services that you offer. Make sure they see you, make sure they see the value, feel the value, and pay attention to the value. Have regular meetings with them where you recommit to them, that you demonstrate your value, that you cross-sell and upsell them, and that you refresh your hardware on a regular basis. And then do not be afraid to raise your prices every year, at least every year. And then, of course, renew those clients. Okay, the last thing you want to do is to have a profitable client leave. Buying and selling and servicing technology has been the norm for the last 20 years for your customers and prospects, but all indicators, including the CompTIA research that this presentation was based on, suggest that it's changing rapidly. Businesses are asking more than ever for managed IT. They understand that every moment they focus on their network is time that they could be and should be spent growing their business. When done right, a solid managed solution will not only benefit an end user from an uptime perspective, but it will increase their organization's agility and competitiveness. So what are your key takeaways today? Number one, evaluate the real opportunity for you in your market. Understand where you stand and where your market stands to make sure that you're going after a market that's big enough to make it worthwhile. Number two, build a dynamic offering. Come up with great technologies, PSA, RMM, and all the technology solution providers that give your customers a competitive advantage in the marketplace. Make sure they have no reason to go to another party just because you don't offer a particular service. And definitely don't be afraid of the cloud. Step three, create a successful marketing plan. Make sure you go through the exercise to know how many leads that you need to get to achieve your sales objectives, and then work with a marketing department or company to get that number of leads. Step four, build a highly effective sales program. Make sure you have a great close ratio. Make sure they're able to bring home profitable deals where you're not having to leverage pricing discounts to win clients. And then, of course, you got to convert those prospects into valuable clients and then really become a valued business partner to your customer. Give them services that give them security and stability. Give them profitability. Make sure that IT is a wind at their back instead of a wind at their face. So those are your key takeaways from today's meeting. With that, we'll open it up to questions.